You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
Good morning. Welcome back to Matinaire on Air. My name is Greg Bach, sitting in for Jane Matinaire, who is currently vacating, resting, relaxing. Deservedly, she misses you. She loves you, and she'll be back before you know it. I'm here today with my good buddy, my sweet Cal B. He's on the boards. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing okay, Greg. You know, the weekend kind of blanked and you missed it,
Yeah.
but I'm hanging in there.
Absolutely. We were talking just before the show got started with Pat on Morning with Pat Kreitlow, and he said, "Did you have a relaxing weekend?" And I said, "No." It wasn't a bad weekend. And folks, let me know how your weekend went too. I'd love to hear from you. You can always get in touch. 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. You can leave a comment on the live stream too. We're currently on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform we still call Twitter. But yeah, it was a weekend, Calvin, that was just, I got home on Friday. I relaxed for a little bit. I got an invitation to go to dinner, and I said, no, thank you. I'm going to stay home with the dog. And then Saturday and Sunday were just very busy. They weren't bad. It was so celebrating my mother-in-law's 80th birthday, and she's, a lovely lady. I love her to death. Calvin, I struck gold, the lottery, 1,000 times over when it comes to my in-laws. Like, my family is great. I love my family, but you can't always guarantee that with the in-laws. And with my in-laws, they're all wonderful. So we were celebrating with them. And then before I knew it, Calvin, it was 7:30 on a Sunday night. I'm like, wait, what happened? Did you have something similar? Did you do a lot, or was it just the you just lost in the pages of a comic book?
Well, so Friday night I got home from work and I was really sleepy. And I put on Superman with the intention of falling asleep during it.
Okay.
And I did. The plan achieved. I slept most of my Friday night away.
Okay.
Saturday, I played video games for more than 6 hours.
Jeez.
And then
God.
Sunday, I kind of just twiddled my thumbs and watched football.
There you go. Well, we're going to talk. I'm glad you brought that up because at 9:35, Civic Media's very own sports reporter and just good guy in general, Jimmy Kuska, is going to be here to talk about the Packer game. He's going to be talking about Badgers. He'll be talking about local sports as well. And any other sports stuff and things he's working on as well. The man is constantly moving, constantly working, constantly around. But I'm very excited to have Mr. Jimmy Kuska on at 9:35 this morning. And then at 10:06, Thomas Galke will be our guest. He'll be here with some other individuals from their group, Groundswell Collective. They're going to be talking to us about a whole host of things that are going on, including, but not limited to, a movement that helped get more hours added to the bus ridership in Walworth County, and it's been very, very popular. And this is about the power of people and the power of organizing. So you want to get here at 10:06 a.m. You want to stick around because we're going to be here talking about it. It's going to be a great conversation. Very excited about the show today. And then, of course, we are going to be rounding it out with This Shouldn't Be a Thing at 10:52. Today it is the Brick by Brick edition. Make sure you're wearing your shoes, folks, because this story's going to hurt a little. But before we get started with here's how I want to do it. I want to talk about this story that was in the news. It just was released from the Journal Sentinel. Jesse O'Poyne with a byline that says, entertaining his last year in office, Tony Evers names 3 areas lasting change can be achieved. And before I get into those things, I would like to know, in the last year, or maybe, before 2026 is over, I want to hear from you folks. What are the things in Wisconsin that you want to see achieved? Do you want to see, a stronger voice in Madison? Do you want to see monies be released? Do you want to see funding? Do you want to see something that's in your community specifically, or something statewide? It doesn't have to be one thing. It can be a couple of things, but let me know. 855-752-4842. 855-75-CIVIC is the number. You can call or you can text it. Leave a comment on the live stream. We're looking at it all the time. We want to hear from you, but I want to know from you folks, in Tony Evers' last year, what would you love to see happen for Wisconsin that would change the community, change the way we do things? I think I already have an idea of a couple of things I'm going to hear about, but I want to hear from you specifically. So, and if you want, also call and text on the Civic Media app. It's free. That's how you get in touch with us as well. Get that Civic Media app on your device, and you can get in touch with us. But entering his last year in office, Tony Evers names 3 areas lasting change can be achieved. And the first one they talk about, he says, quote, can do better with corrections and youth facilities. And he's talking about, I think we can get something done. He had a plan to propose $500 million to finance a series of changes to the state correction systems that would close the maximum security prison in Green Bay by 2029 and spend $245 million to rebuild the living quarters of the state prison in Waupun. Both facilities, I didn't know this, were built in the 1800s. He says human beings shouldn't be in Green Bay or Waupun, and the facilities added that changes aren't made by the end of his term. It should be a priority for the next governor. So he apparently, looking at this through the budget, he proposed in the budget that they made these changes to the facilities that would affect both the adult prisoners and young people who are in youth. And this seems like, something I do not, Kelvin, for my money, do not see this current Madison legislative branch doing, simply because we know how, the GOP controls Madison and the GOP loves prisons. They're building them at a Mach 1 speed right now around the country. So I do not see personally if the Republicans are going to get on board to make anything, quote, better for the correction centers as well as the youth facilities here in Wisconsin. Kelvin, you have any thoughts on this one?
Well, I mean, the state of our prisons across the entire country is deplorable, to say the least. There's that prison in Wisconsin that is currently facing the issues with staffing, and I think they had an inmate pass away from lack of attention, and just the fact, we need to fund our prisons. We also need to do a better job of not imprisoning so many people. We need to work on rehabilitation and whatnot. So you're right that I don't see this Robin Voss's legislature taking care of this.
It said the Republican lawmakers have delayed funding various portions of the plan to replace the schools with regional facilities and have questioned. He proposed that it could not be met unless troubled schools, Lincoln Hills School for boys and Copper Lake School for girls, stop accepting teen offenders within 4 years. And there is balking from the Republicans that say that the plan to replace the schools with regional facilities, it doesn't make sense to them because they don't know how to manage the behavior of the teens who are incarcerated there. I think what you said is correct, Calvin, is that while these are fixes that could possibly be done in the coming year, we as a society have to look at how we do the prison system here in this country. And I feel there's a very large part of the voting population, or I would say Madison has a lot of people who vote who would say just throw them away. They committed a crime, Calvin. They have to be guilty of something. So just get rid of them. And we don't have to worry about them anymore because they're no good, which is not true at all. I mean, other countries show that, they rehabilitate, they make sure that recidivism is a factor of taking care of them, making sure they have the ability to get out of prison and not be, tarnished with an image of being in prison which does not make them look good to employers and just communities and whatnot. But that is a bigger fix. And I don't know if that is possible in 1 year's time. I mean, this is just for the prisons. We're not talking about redoing the entire way of how we imprison people in 1 year, but this is just a small piece of what he's talking about. And Gene is on the line from Eau Claire. Gene, how are you doing this morning? What would you like to see happen in the next year before Tony Evers leaves office?
I would like to see all the GOP out of office for guardian of the predators and pedophiles.
Gotcha.
I am so sick of these people. These people the Department of War, the war on everybody in our country has got to stop. And we all have to come together and see what these people are for what they are, and they're not pretty. And we have to get them out of office before we can get things done right. But I praise Tony Evers for doing all he can. But God darn it, the criminals are running the country, and we really got to do something about it. Thank you. I just had to get that off my chest today because this is so alarming to me. And the Department of War and going into the cities with their masked army and that sicko it is illness, mental illness that has perpetrated our country, and we need to see it for what it is and get these people out of office and get things done in the right path, because it's not pretty, guys. Thank you. I didn't mean to go on and on, but God darn it, I've been watching all weekend, and it makes me sick, and I had to get it out. Thank you very much. You guys have a good day.
You too, Gene. We appreciate you calling and getting in touch. Well, that brings me to a great point, though, and that talks about the elections. That talks about next year. We've got elections coming up next year. If you want to find out more information about your elections, about who represents you, about, when we do have the ballots available, go to myvote.wi.gov. Put in your information. It will give you everything from the president down to the dog catcher. If you still vote for them, it will let you know who represents you. You can then use that to contact them via mail or via the phone or email and let them know how you feel. If you're feeling as fired up as Jeannie and Eau Claire, let them know. And one of the things, too, with regard to voting that we want to talk about, too, that's on Tony Evers' list is the nonpartisan redistricting, which we know that there is a plan in Wisconsin moving forward. There are people coming together talking about a nonpartisan redistrict. That is hard to say, Calvin. Redistricting. So we don't face these problems with gerrymandering. Wisconsin finally got more fair maps. I don't know if we got the fairest maps, but I think we got far fairer maps than we had the past, 10 years, 12 years. We don't want to see it go backwards. And as we said on the show, we don't want to see either party being able to gerrymander to fit their needs. But what we want to see are fair, truly fair maps, and we want to move towards nonpartisan redistricting. Tony Evers feels like this is something that we can do. And I feel like that's something that we need to do. My only concern, Calvin, is the fact that now we have these states saying, we're just going to redistrict now. We got to redistrict to favor the Republicans. And now California says we got to redistrict to favor the Democrats. And we have to it just feels like we're going to be reacting, and the people are still going to be up a creek. I don't know what you think about this, Calvin. We're going to talk more about this on the other side, because there's one other thing that Tony Evers had on his list. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what you'd love to see happen in the last year of Tony Evers being in office in 2026. 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on the live stream. We are on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform we still call Twitter. Let us know. What do you want to see happen in your community, in your city, in your state? Give us a call. You are watching Matt and Air. You're watching if you're on the live stream, but you're listening to Matt and Air on air on the Civic Media Radio Network. Stay tuned. Stay close.
You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
Good morning. Welcome back to Matt and Air on Air. My name is Greg Box, sitting in for Jane Matt and Air, who's currently on vacation, resting, relaxing, deservedly. She loves you, she misses you, and she'll be back before you know it. And I am here along with the Board Lord, Calvinator, Sweet Calby, all the nicknames. And we are here talking to you today on the Civic Media Radio Network. We're here with you until 11. At 9:35 has Jimmy Kuska stopping by with sports. Packers victory, everyone. Packers victory. A solid victory, too, Calvin, I would say. Not a blowout, but not by the skin of your teeth. It was solid, good scoring. Packer season is starting. We'll be talking more about that with Jimmy Kuska coming up at 9:35 after the news. And then at 10:06, we welcome Thomas Gulke and Groundswell Collective to just give us a great update, a great story on the power of people, the power of organizing, and why when we come together and speak together, we get things done. That's going to be at 10:06 after the top of the hour news as well. So don't go anywhere. We got a lot of great stuff. Of course, this shouldn't be a thing at 10:52, and it is the Brick by Brick edition, so you don't want to go anywhere as well. We were talking about the new article in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel by Jesse Aupoin entitled Entering His Last Year in Office, Tony Evers names 3 areas lasting change can be achieved. And I wanted to hear from you. Call or text 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. You can leave a comment on the live stream. We are currently on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform we still call Twitter. You can also get in touch with us via the Civic Media app. If you don't have that app, download it directly to your device. Text us, call us, leave us a voice note. Participate in text-to-win contests through there. It's a great app, absolutely free. Get it on your device and give us a call, give us a text. We want to hear from you. We want to know, what do you want to see in the last year of Tony Evers' governorship? What would you like to see happen for your community, for your city, for your state in this last year and some change that we have Tony Evers in office? Give us a call, 855-752-4842. Jim from Brookfield is on the phone. He's been very patient. Jim, good morning. What would you like to see happen in your community, in your state, my friend?
Good morning, Greg and Calvinator. I am sitting here with the Journal-Sentinel reading the article you're referencing, Greg. I'm still one of the old school people who get a paper and finishing my morning coffee.
Yeah.
I would love to see in my state, and one of the 3 items in the article, and referencing, going back to what you said right before the break, the redistricting.
Mm-hmm.
And you were absolutely spot on, Greg. Yes, we do have better maps now. They may not be totally fair, as you said. I think they're still slanted toward Republicans. That's our beloved governor. He did a great job, is doing a great job, but I think he could have held the line a little better on those maps, but they're much, much better. Obviously, it was much more balanced after this last election.
Yeah.
However, the key point is exactly what you said. We can't go back. Right now, the system is still in place that as soon as there's a political change in power, they will quickly go back and redistrict the maps. Okay, so there's a small paragraph in there that said, a permanent solution to that, and that would be what was discussed earlier on the morning show with Pat Kreitlow, is to set up an totally independent commission, similar to Iowa's, not completely Iowa's because that's really old now and kind of outdated, but an independent commission that oversees the redistricting and have that permanently put in place, that neither party can come in and just say, guess what, we're going to throw this out and we're going to redistrict our maps again. So I would think it'd be a great legacy for Tony Evers if he can work, with both sides of the aisle and get some sort of permanent solution, which would be a commission, independent commission that has total oversight over redistricting, get that in place so we don't have this back and forth, what we see like in Texas and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I really, really hope the governor can propose and use his bully pulpit and lobby and whatnot to get some sort of permanent fixture to this redistricting in place.
Well, and thank you so much, Jim, for calling. I appreciate that. I mean, I don't disagree with you at all. And I know that Dan Schaefer has been on the show here and other places talking about the movement Wisconsin is making towards getting this done. And yeah, it will be an uphill battle. I mean, we have to, you have to somehow convince some of these Republicans and maybe some Democrats too. I mean, like, that's the thing, is we see the gerrymandering thing around the country right now is something that's really kind of, I don't like what Texas is doing. I can't say, I understand why California is doing, but then there's another state that's going to do it. And then who, and then who, and then who. And the plan then becomes everybody just gerrymanders their map whenever they want. Then we won't have real actual representation of the people. And I think if Tony Evers can do this, Jim, and move us towards a better solution that just works for everyone, not Democrats, not Republicans, but everyone, I think that is something that would be a huge and lasting legacy for him as well. And thank you so much, Jim. I appreciate you calling. It's something I think we all think about because when we talk about what we want to see happen, when it comes to the gerrymandering, when it comes to who is being represented and how hard do politicians have to work to keep their jobs, that's something that does affect all of us. That does affect regardless of who you vote for. And I think, especially in this last election for state Supreme Court, we actually saw a fair amount of Wisconsin, I'd say, the way of, in my opinion, cheating, the way of pushing things towards a more just like, spending $100 million to buy a candidate and giving away money to get people to vote for you. That Wisconsin doesn't go for that. We were David, they were Goliath, and we said no. We don't want that in Wisconsin. And I think to permanently have a better solution, we have to have better maps and better redistricting solutions and better ways of figuring out how to represent the people. So no matter who you vote for, you are represented properly, not just because someone decided to get crazy with a pencil in a map room one day. But we're going to keep the conversation going about sports now. Sports is coming up because the Packers, the Badgers, the Brewers, local sports, all that going to be covered with Jimmy Kuska talking to us after the bottom of the hour news. So don't go anywhere. Stay close. Stay tuned. You're listening to Matt Nair on Air on the Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning. Welcome back to Matt Nair on Air. My name is Greg Fox, sitting in for Jane Matt Nair, who will be back before you know it. You can always call or text, get a hold of us on the live stream. The number to call or text is 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. If you want to call, leave a comment on the live stream, Facebook, YouTube, and the platform we still call Twitter. Still to come at 10:06, Thomas Galke and Groundswell Collective talking about the power of people, the power of organizing, and what they're getting done in Walworth County to help all of those around them. That is at 10:06. And then, of course, at 10:52 is This Shouldn't Be a Thing, Brick by Brick edition. It's going to be a very fun way to round off the show. If you ever want to get in touch with us and send us an article on something that should not be, you can send it to Calvin, Jane, and me at Jane says at civicmedia.us, JANESAYS at civicmedia.us. Let us know your thoughts. But to give us his thoughts on everything sports is Civic Media Sports Director Jimmy Kuska. Jimmy, welcome to the show. It's been a while since we've talked to you. And by gum, lots of sports this weekend.
It's the first weekend where we have the Packers, the Badgers, and high school sports all kind of happening at the same time, now that the Packers are into the regular season. So we are into September, and yesterday was kind of that first go-round for people who like to do the split screen with like 4 games going on at the same time, the Red Zone channel, going to the side, tracking your fantasy football rosters.
Oh my gosh.
This is stuff you look forward to all year if you're a football fan. Getting to this day, the opening week of the NFL, Packers football, all of that. So today, or this week, is really the first big football week, and I think it's got people pretty excited. And
the Brewers too are coming off, I think, their 6th or 7th sweep in the past few months. I mean, they're still the hottest team in baseball. They've lost a little momentum. They had some injuries, but we'll talk about that more in a minute. I want to get to the Packers, though. The Packers, as I was saying to Calvin earlier, it was a solid win. It wasn't a nail biter from what I see in the scoring. I wasn't able to watch because I was out doing stuff with family, but by the looks of the score, it was a solid victory. Not a nail biter, but also not a blowout of the Lions, which we didn't expect, because while the Lions are maybe having some problems here and there, they're still a very, very good team and look to be high up in the standings for going forward in the season.
Yeah, they're the defending divisional champions. Yeah. And for the Packers, now they've matched their division win total from last year, and it's week 1. So this is a comfortable win. As how I described it, it was a comfortable win. Packers fans got to see a little bit of everything that maybe they had been checking their boxes in the offseason about what needed to be fixed or updated or upgraded. The secondary holding up decently, getting the interception. I think the big thing, though, for Packers fans was seeing what can Micah Parsons bring to the defense. And on the sack where he chased down the Lions quarterback, I saw a few posts likening it to one of those nature specials where the cheetah's chasing the antelope, and that the poor antelope is doomed, right? So that's how people were liking it. And I thought that was a great way to look at it, because he had impacts beyond that play, and it brings a whole different dynamic to this Packers defense. So you get to see the offense click right from the opening drive with the touchdown. You get to see Parsons and the defense hold up pretty good, and special teams were great too. Perfect on field goals, PATs, and as a special teams coach in high school football, I always appreciate a 55-yard punting average. So it was, I think, like I said, a comfortable win for the Packers in Week 1. And now Packers fans, or if you're a Lions fan, I guess too, the Bears and Vikings play tonight on Monday Night Football. So even more football for those of you so inclined.
I guess the question I have is, I mean, you don't have to, but you're watching a Bears Vikings game. Like, who do you want to win? Do you want? I mean, you can't say neither. Someone's gonna win. Do you say it's the Bears? Do you say the Vikings? Who do you quote root for in a game like this?
Well, Asteroid is number one. On
Asteroid,
Asteroid is number one, but you've got to pick one. I think that for Packers fans or Lions fans, you generally perceive the Bears to be the lesser threat, and that the Vikings would be the team that makes their way up the standings. The Vikings have a lot of offensive pieces, and they've got one of the best players in all of the NFL in Justin Jefferson. So I think if you're a fan, you're rooting for the Bears to take one from the Vikings to muddy up those standings a bit going in the rest of the way. But in the NFL, the margin between being good and not good, like there's a lot of parity. That margin is not that great as you would think. Between being 11-6 and 6-11, it's the difference of maybe a couple of players. So.
Well, and that's something too. I want to, I think that with regard to the Bears, I don't know. I feel like every time every time the season's over and the Bears are done, a few months go by, wounds are licked, and then Bears fans come back with, "Oh, this is our year. We got the thing." I don't know what that thing is. A new quarterback, new head coach, a reprieve from the asteroid. But regardless, they always come back with, "It's our year." And I always, every year, think to myself, could it be their year? And then within 2 weeks, I'm like, oh, it's not.
Well, I was just at my family reunion, and half of my mom's side of the family is from Chicago, so got to spend a lot of time amongst Bears fans who, we're all very happy to tell me the Bears are undefeated right now. So the optimism is high. The offseason has been won, and now we are on to real football. And I'm sure when I check in with them around Thanksgiving, we'll see if anything's changed. But right now, everybody's feeling good because we haven't played any actual real games yet.
I do enjoy the optimism of Bears fans because it does. I feel like it mirrors the optimism of Brewers fans. You're like, always want the best, but inside your stomach, you're like, I know this could go away at any second now. If you're just joining us, we are talking to Civic Media's sports director, our friend Jimmy Kuska, discussing the Packers' victory from this past week. And as you put it, a comfortable victory. I mean, as much as it can be, do you feel like it's a statement from the Packers on where they want to go? I mean, they want to win, of course, but I feel like everything you're describing was just all things were happening, all things were firing on the cylinders, and there was energy beforehand because, people still have a lot of love, no pun intended, a lot of love for Jordan Love. But with the Micah Parsons trade, I feel like it was the same energy that happened when Damian Lillard was announced for the Bucks. Like this whole, this boom in the Packers fandom. And people were like, oh gosh, it's on. What were you feeling when you found out about Micah Parsons? And do you feel like this is just going to click them even further into gear?
The fact that the Packers get one of the best players in the NFL. And I know people look at the cost of a really good lineman and Kenny Clark and a couple of first-round picks, but you look at the history of finding these transformative defensive players in the NFL, there isn't a very long list of these guys, and the Packers just got one. So when I saw it, I had seen the rumors, heard the rumors. Mike Clemens and I were actually both on assignment that day, so neither one of us actually got to cover the breaking news. That honor went to Luke Mathers here at Civic Media. He got to do the breaking sports update that day. But when I found out, I really think I think a lot of us had the same thought. The Packers make that deal 100 times out of 100 to bring Parsons in. And again, you saw the impacts right away, just the ability to create pressure, collapse the pocket, get after the quarterback. In limited run with his back injury, he was able to still do some great things already in week one. And I think for the Packers, I personally have always said this about football season. You don't put a lot of stock into week one. You've had a whole offseason to prepare, and a lot of week one is just laying it out and seeing what happens. And then you adjust and go from there. The biggest gains for especially for like high school and college programs happens week 1 to week 2. In the NFL, those gains tend to happen over a longer period of time, usually the first 3 or 4 weeks. So the good news is that the Packers won their first game, which is generally a coin flip when you look at the history of great teams going deep in the playoffs. But for Green Bay, I think what you definitely enjoyed in this is that if there is a glaring weakness on the team, it wasn't exposed to the point that the Packers lost a football game. They in fact showed that they had taken care of a lot of the offseason issues, and again, looked pretty comfortable in beating the Detroit Lions on Sunday.
You hear that, folks? Our sports director says don't let week 1 sully your good time in case there's a loss. There's more football. It's not a harbinger of darkness for things to come, but they won, so of course we're going to win the Super Bowl. That just goes without saying. All right, we're done. We're moving on. Now let's move on to the Badgers really quick. They had a very decisive victory this weekend, and everyone pretty much was on board to say, yeah, I don't think Middle Tennessee is going to be a big obstacle for them, but they're 2-0 now for the season, and that's good because the Badgers have been rickety for the past couple of years, especially due to injuries to their quarterbacks being taken out before the start of the season. But this is I'm not going to say that Miami of Ohio is a world-class caliber team, but 2 in a row ain't bad.
Well, here's the reality check for Badgers fans. First of all, if you're on social media at 4:00 in the afternoon on Saturday, I think you were among the many who were panicking when the Badgers were leading 14-10 on directional Tennessee State. So people were very, very concerned. It's probably the mildest term I can use for it on Saturday. People are frustrated with the Badgers program because they went outside the box in hiring Luke Fickell, thinking this would elevate the program to national relevance. And instead, what happens is they missed their first bowl game since I was in high school. And on top of that, going into this year, the expectations aren't very high because, yeah, the Badgers have 2 wins, the 2 wins that people expected them to have. But here's the reality check. You get Alabama coming up. You've got in October. If you look at the October schedule, I mean, just, cover your eyes because the reality check is coming.
Let's see real quick. I'm taking a look at here. What do we got? We got Oregon, we got Washington, we got Indiana, Illinois, and Minnesota. Oh, that's the rest of the year, actually. Wait, when are they playing Alabama?
They're playing Alabama a week from Saturday. So
Alabama
coming.
I see. I was looking at okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, unfortunately, they can't play all the easy teams, so we'll see where it's going for this season. In
October, you're talking about Oregon and Ohio State, Michigan, and Iowa. It's a brutal month. So the reality check is coming for Badgers fans, for the Badgers. But for now, 2-0. You got 2 in the bag. You had to get 4 more to get back to a bowl game. I think that's about the best you can hope for at the moment. You really hope to see some of the positive things they built on. They're finding some playmakers on defense. The offensive line is looking a little better than last year. These are marks of progress, and they need those things to progress because, down to a backup quarterback and not having the explosiveness they've had in recent vintage, especially at the running back position. These are all going to be very important things for the Badgers.
I don't really follow college sports that much, Jimmy. I won't lie. I've made it very clear on the show that I don't. But here's how I know that was shocking for the Badgers. When I found out they didn't go to a bowl game, I said, oh no. That's how used to a bowl game in the Badgers' life I'm used to, where I was like, oh no, they're really not good. So, but hey, I'm going to hold optimism. I'm going to hold optimism in my heart that they crush every team that they come up against. And if they don't, then I don't know what to tell you. I have no access to asteroids.
Just manifesting positive energy. I'm all for it. We're just
there you go. And we're going to keep it positive because we're going to keep talking about, we're going to move on to the local stuff, the high school stuff, because that's actually what I really love listening to you and Chad Holmes talk about when you talk about those local sports teams. And we're going to keep that conversation going on the other side. We're going to get some snacks. We're going to get some water, stay hydrated. You're listening to Matt and Air on Air. We're talking to Civic Media Sports Director Jimmy Kuska. And if you have any questions about sports, let us know. Give us some comments. I just saw a text in the text line come through. We'll read that when we come back. But don't go anywhere. Stay close. Stay tuned. You listen to Matt and Air on Air on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
Good morning. Welcome back to Matt and Air on Air. My name is Greg Bach, sitting in for Jane Matt-Nair, who is currently on vacation, and she misses you, she loves you, and she'll be back before you know it. But you can always get in touch with us. Talk to us. I'm Greg Bach. That's Calvin Butenhoff. Sweet Cal B. We're talking to Jimmy Kuska, who's Civic Media Sports Director, and you can always get in touch with us at 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on the live stream. We're currently on Facebook, YouTube, and the site we still call Twitter. Before we went to the break, we were talking about Packers, we were talking about Badgers, and Jim from Appleton, listening to WISS, said, I was quite happy to see the way Justin Fields played for the Eagles. He seems to be one quarterback that the Bears didn't wreck. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Good. Congratulations to Mr. Justin Fields. We're happy for you. Calvin, but before I should ask you, what do you thoughts on anything going on football wise? I know you're a big Packers fan, but
well, I agree with everything Jimmy said about the Packers. I will say just a small correction to Jim. Justin Fields plays for the Jets now, but otherwise I agree with him. It was nice to see him play well. I wish he could have beat Aaron Rodgers, but he escaped with a 60-yard field goal.
Do you know what's funny is that up until you said that name, I completely forgot Aaron Rodgers still played football.
Unfortunately.
You also had Justin Fields right. He was a team in green, so you're close aesthetically.
It's all green over there playing that, whatever. But go whoever's playing against Aaron Rodgers. That's all I'll say. Go that. It could be a team made up of my high school bullies. I'd be like, you know what? Tony can run. Go for it. I believe in you. I believe in your efforts. We're talking to Jimmy Kuska about all things sports, and we were talking about the Packers as well as the Badgers. But now I want to switch focus to local high school. That's something you really, you are very, very impassioned about, and you talk about a lot on Pat's show. And what's going on with local football? Who are we looking out for? Tell me how my CMH Crusaders are going to do this year, because that's my alma mater. Go CMH 96. You are raw CMH.
So we just wrapped up our first week of conference play. We are 1/3 of the way through the regular season in high school football. So high school football in Wisconsin is 9 games in the regular season and then a 5-week playoff. So we are just into conference play now. And then the first week of conference always has a number of interesting matchups, because the first 2 games, the non-conference games, are typically rivalry type games where the teams might have been moved out of conferences together in realignment, or in some cases just teams looking to pick up a game because of some cancellations, especially at the small school level. We've already had over a half dozen teams in Wisconsin fold because of low enrollment or numbers in the program, just not be able to field football teams. And this has been a little more common since COVID, where this has become more of a normal occurrence. It used to be pretty rare before that. It really wasn't. It had maybe a couple of teams a year, but now this year, several small school teams have called it a year. So there's been some interesting matchups that have happened along the way. I'm a coach in a small school in southwestern Wisconsin, so we were treated to some pretty amazing matchups down in my part of the state. I know for WRCO listeners, for example, WRCE there in Richland Center, big exciting game. Richland Center defeating Lancaster for the first time in almost 20 years, which is huge. And Richland Center is off to a great start this season. But you look, elsewhere in the state, and there's some great things that are happening pretty much across the board. You've got your traditional powers, you got your Wanakees and Arrowheads of the world that are still rolling, right? But boy, you look at some of the small schools, you see Edgar's still dominating. Baldwin Woodville off to an amazing start this year again, for our friends listening on WSCO and or WSCM, in Western Wisconsin. There's some really, really good football being played. I think 3 weeks into the season, you start to see who really emerges as your top contenders, because they've already faced now a conference opponent, a couple of non-cons, and you start to really see some of those better schools emerge, especially with the large schools, because the large schools, for whatever it's worth in Division I, they all kind of just, it's kind of a round robin, and then you go to the playoffs and you do it all over again.
Were we just here? Yeah, we were. You bring up Arrowhead. Once again, like I went to high school in the 90s, and I went to Catholic Memorial 96. Go Crusaders. And Arrowhead was we were serious about football and CMH back in the day, and I don't know where they're at now. I think they still have game. They're still good, but we were state champions.
Yeah, they're 2-1. Their only losses to a Division I powerhouse in Franklin, and that was a 3-point loss in week 1. They're a Division III, Division IV size school, and they're 2-1. They beat Waukesha North and Sun Prairie West back to back now.
But Arrowhead, they have. I know this sounds weird to say, but their locker room is like an NFL team. It is very, very cool looking, but also I'm like, where did you get all this money?
Well, in the press box too, it's better than a lot of the Division III schools in the state that aren't in the WIAC. The press box is incredible. It's really top notch, and it's one of the handful of schools in Wisconsin where if I'm assigned to do a game, I'm like, yeah, I know I'm getting a good vantage point here. I'm spoiled because I broadcast college football for UW Platteville, but getting to do a high school game when I get to go to Milwaukee or Madison, it's so much fun because some of those venues, and not even it's not even so much the aesthetic, the jacuzzi in the media suite kind of thing. Yeah. Not that anybody has that, although if you do, I'm coming to do your game next. It's the history at some of these fields. Going to Mansfield Stadium in Madison and getting to call games there was such a treat for the decade I worked there. A lot of the school, I'm from northwestern Wisconsin, so a lot of those fields. In fact, I'm going up to do a game at my alma mater, Flambeau, for Park Falls later this month. So I get to getting to see some of these venues in northwestern Wisconsin. There's so much history at these fields and in these communities, and here at Civic Media with a dozen stations covering games right now. It's really fun to be part of.
Well, we're going to have you back sooner than later to talk about the wrap up of the high school sports. I want to hear about this wonderful press box you're going to be going to, and we'll talk to you more about that in the coming weeks. Jimmy Koska is the Civic Media Sports Director. Thank you so much for being here today with us, Jimmy. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
And when we come back after the news, we're going to be speaking with Thomas Gulke and Groundswell Collective about the power of people, the power of organizing, and what we can get done when we work together. You're listening to Matt and Air on Air on the Civic Media Radio Network. Stay close. Stay tuned.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.